Chapter 18. The priests, the Levites, and all the tribe of Levi shall have no part nor inheritance with Israel. They shall eat the offerings of the Lord made by fire, and his inheritance. Therefore they shall have no inheritance among their brethren. The Lord is their inheritance, as he hath said unto them. And this shall be the priest's due from the people, from them that offer a sacrifice, whether it be ox or sheep. And they shall give unto the priest the shoulder, and the 2 cheeks, and the maw. The first fruit also of thy corn, of thy wine, and of thine oil, and the first of the fleece of thine sheep shalt thou give him. For the Lord thy God hath chosen him out of all the tribes, to stand to minister in the name of the Lord, him and his sons forever. And if a Levite come from any of thy gates out of all Israel, where he sojourned, and come with all the desire of his mind unto the place which the Lord shall choose, then he shall minister in the name of the Lord his God, as all his brethren the Levites do, which stand there before the Lord. They shall have like portions to eat, beside that which cometh of the sale of his patrimony. When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you any one that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord, and because of these abominations the Lord thy God doth drive them out from before thee. Thou shalt be perfect with the Lord thy God. For these nations which thou shalt possess hearkened unto the observers of times, and unto diviners, but as for thee, the Lord thy God hath not suffered thee to do so. The Lord thy God will raise thee up a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him ye shall hearken, according to all that thou desirest of the Lord thy God in Horeb in the day of the assembly, saying, Let me not hear again the voice of the Lord my God, neither let me see this great fire any more, that I die not. And the Lord said unto me, They have well spoken that which they have spoken. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. But the prophet which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. And if thou say in thine heart, How shall we know the word which the Lord hath not spoken? When a prophet speaketh in the name of the Lord, if the thing follow not, nor come to pass, that is the thing which the Lord hath not spoken, but the prophet hath spoken it presumptuously, thou shalt not be afraid of him. Here in chapter 18, the Lord and Moses are outlining some things. We're getting close to when Moses is going to stop being able to talk to these people. He wants to make sure he covers all the bases, and so he's covering some things here. Talking about what is the Levites by right, because they don't have any inheritance. Their food, basically, they shall eat of the offerings the Lord made by fire, and that is his inheritance. And that's what he's going to have. And so this is their due. Whether it's an ox or a sheep, they're going to give the shoulder and the 2 cheeks and the maw. And the first fruits also of the corn. You need to remember that the corn was not corn as we think of it as corn on the cob. It was simply grain, wheat, and barley. The corn was not available to grow for another 3,000 years, 3,500 years at least. Wasn't growing there then. And talks about rule. If a Levite wants to leave the city where he is and go and serve in the tabernacle, they would take him and he would do it, and they would share alike. Now, in verse 9, he comes up with something that's really important, and you need to pay attention to it, because we have the same problems in our countries now, and they're just as destructive. When thou art in Verse 9, When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. And then he lists out some of the abominations. There shall not be found any one that maketh his son or daughter to pass through the fire. So you're not going to have people who have sacrificed their children to idols that have burned them or sacrificed them, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, astrologers, folks, or enchanters, or witches. Oh, let's look in this crystal ball, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits. Oh, let's see if we can get some spirit to tell us what's going to happen, or a wizard, or a necromancer. People are not familiar with the word necromancer here, but what it means is a necromancer was somebody in those days, would be the same today, I guess, who specialized in calling back the bodies of recently deceased people, people who had died in the last year. Because then if you could get them to come back, they could tell you what they'd learned. And that was the same thing about familiar spirits, talking about, such and such a person died, let's see if we can get in touch with them and they can tell us what's going to happen in the future. Same with a wizard, Harry Potter kind of wizard, charmer, enchanter, witch, somebody who forecasts things based on tea leaves or any kind of anything like that. We have all of those people with us now, and they're all just as fraudulent, just as much garbage as they were then. And the problem is that they are false gods. They are just as false gods as any of the ones that were worshipped. And Heavenly Father and Lord basically said, for all these things are an abomination unto the Lord. And because of these abominations, the Lord doth drive them out from before thee. He considered them fit for extermination. Don't have anything to do with them. Don't tolerate any of that by anybody in your family or in your house. They are an abomination unto the Lord. Anyway, and he says in verse 14, for these nations which thou shalt possess hearken unto observers of times and unto diviners, but as for thee, the Lord thy God hath not suffered thee to do so. Then he talks about raising up a prophet, and said, I will raise up a prophet from among thy brethren like unto thee, and put my words in his mouth. But the prophet, and then he uses the word claimed, I will use the word put in here in verse 20, claimed prophet, the man who claims to be a prophet, who shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. So, you get somebody who's a phony prophet, you put them to death. Why? Because the risk of what you're going to lose is so extreme if you go away from God, that everything that you ever hope to have now in eternity is at risk for tolerating that kind of arrogance, stupidity, and perversion. And that's exactly what how the Lord sees it. And He does not want you to tolerate it. Doesn't want you making it part of your life. Don't go opening up the newspaper and looking to see if there's anything in an astrology column for you. Don't go looking for soothsayers or people who are going to tell you the future. You want to know what the future is, put your faith in God and He will look after you. He may not tell you all the stuff that's going to happen right ahead, but we saw 200 years before Israel's looking at having a king, He's telling them how to choose a good king. If He can tell you the same thing 200 days ahead, you're wonderfully off. Much better than the vast majority of the world.